and welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Today is another super special themed reading with the conclusion of a very popular movie series coming out this weekend, the final movie in a trilogy, which has been 9 parts long. It is the Star Wars trilogy. I wanted to do something kind of fun in honor of the final movie coming out. So what I'm going to do is, as you've seen, if you follow my channel, you'll know that I am a card reader. I believe that symbols speak to you every day, almost like your unconscious or like your dreams. And I think they have a lot of positive, it's a positive, throwing both tarot and oracle is a positive way to both kind of psychoanalyze your problems, but also find solutions and kind of give a kind of meditative piece to everyday problems. So what I did today is, if you've seen in my previous episodes or my previous videos, I held not too long ago a National Espresso Day. It was like a coffee day theme, where I used playing cards instead of tarot. The nice thing about playing cards is that they are very much like the minor arcana of tarot. They have, all of the different suits are there. Spades can be seen as swords, clubs can be seen as wands, diamonds can be seen as pentacles, and what's the last one? I'm drawing a blank. But basically all of the suits are there. And what it is you can pretty much read playing cards the same way that you would read a tarot deck. It's just what it is that it is minus the major arcana. There are no majors in a playing deck, and there are no pages. It's just knight, queen, and kings. The other thing is you kind of have a double whammy if you decide to keep the jokers in, which is something as a practice that I do. What it is the jokers are almost like the fool, and so it is like having one major arcana, but you have 2 of them, and they're in the deck. So what I'm going to do today is a very fun thing in celebration of the conclusion of this wonderful Star Wars trilogy. And just to let you know, I've always been a fan of the original trilogy. The original ones, are my favorite. I'm an R2-D2 girl, and Princess Leia is my home girl. But what I'm doing today is I've gone ahead and I've got three sets of playing cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you choose a deck, and each one of the decks pertains to one of the trilogies. So deck number 1, we've got the Star Wars Prequel 1. Deck number 2, we've got Star Wars Classic, which is the original A New Hope, Return, The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And then we've got, what this is this is The Force Awakens. This is a deck that came out. It's called, Rebels versus the New Order, but it is the current Star Wars sequel. And one thing I loved about this deck, and I'll tell you again, because the jokers are the fool, and I keep the jokers in the New Order deck. Look at the jokers, guys. Look at it. Yeah, you had You got a TIE fighter and an X-Wing, and I was like, yeah, I saw that and I was like, take my money. But so what I'm going to do is, what I will do is in a minute, I will let you choose a deck. I will let you choose a series, however, and again, I ask that you, anytime you pick a deck, if you just choose from your intuition. Ooh, getting a story already, guys. But I'm just shuffling it in to get those jokers in. But in a minute, I'll let you choose your deck. Now, one thing that I do is I sew for fun, and before we get into it, we're going to pick a deck in just a minute. We're going to make it a real quick read today. But I keep all of my cards in custom-made bags, and yeah, I'm a Porg. I like Porgs. I don't know. It's funny. It's so controversial. There are actors in the movie that do not like Porgs, so whether you are pro-Porg, if you are anti-Porg, or if you are Porg neutral, whatever your Porg preference, I have so much of this material. I had so much fun, and I keep my decks in that. Now, I'm not trying to weigh in on the Baby Yoda thing. Please do not get me started. It's like, I'm not trying to judge that, but you know what, the thing that I feel like is different is that the fact that this is a new character, it's not really like, it's not making, well, I won't go there. I won't go there. But anyway, I will let you choose whatever you want. And I do ask that you just choose from your intuition if you liked the series, or if you liked the artwork, or if you just kind of feel that kind of pull behind your rib cage that, oh, okay, that is my deck. That's probably the best one. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of do like a mini card spread, and we'll just see what your energies are. This is your Star Wars reading. It's just kind of like a pop-up fun, you know, just throwing cards for fun, which is what I love to do. But just all of the names of the card decks are in the description box below, as are the timestamps. With all of my videos, you do not need to sit through any of the intro, which you probably have in this video. Sorry, I should have said this first. But if you ever wanted to skip straight to your reading, the timestamps are in the description box below. Feel free to click on it or scrub through. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a freeze frame. I'll let you choose your trilogy, and we'll read your cards. See you in a minute. Okay, we're back. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the prequel. And to be honest, ooh. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. I won't tell you. I'll leave you in suspense. But yes, and that's my favorite deck too. But I have to admit, there are moments in all three trilogies that I really like. So I have to admit, you know, regardless of where the canon is going. One other thing before we get started, I just wanted to let you know, all of these cards are by Cartamundi, which is the playing card publishers that have the rights to these. Now, the first two decks were before it was acquired by Disney, but the third deck is Disney. So not that that matters, but just in case you cared, these are vintage decks that were when it was still Lucasfilm. But all right, so deck number one, let's go ahead and shuffle like we're in Vegas. Let's do that. These are playing cards. I do want to start learning how to do more of those card tricks. There's a few readers on YouTube who shuffle so like butter. They just, I don't know where they learn. I'm so in awe. Okay, gonna get to shushing. So deck number one, what's your Star Wars story? The prequel, Qui-Gon Jinn. Ooh, all right, deck number one, what's our Star Wars story? Okay, ooh, alrighty then. Thank you. Ooh. Oh wow, this is really neat. Oh my gosh, for the record, you got both jokers. I don't know if that's a sign that I just did not. I'm gonna keep that. Wow, that's pretty cool. All right, so deck number one, you got the 8 of Hearts and the 4 of Spades. And what that is I read that there's a method of reading where you can read it like almost like the Norman style, but the way I'm going to be reading it today is like as if it pertains to the Tarot Minor Arcana. But the 8 of Cups and the 4 of Swords. So basically, your Star Wars story is that right now you're currently fleeing from something. You're kind of escaping with your emotions intact. There's something that occurred that was very threatening, and you almost had to kind of fight and flee. I am getting kind of almost a fight or flee response. You know how they talk about that. And then the fact that this is the Queen's ship, actually in the movie, that's the Queen's ship, and then you have Queen Amidala, and is the 4 of Swords. So the past position is there was some kind of really overwhelming battle that really kind of forced you to flee. It forced you to walk away from something that you were greatly invested in. And you're in a position of recovery right now. Right now, you're kind of you're pulling back to rest and to heal from this situation. But the battle isn't over. That's the other thing that is about the four, when you see the Four of Swords or the Four of Spades, the battle isn't over yet. But, you know, it's still raging, but you were able to, you were forced to walk away from something that you were invested in. And right now you're just kind of healing. You're pulling back, you're resting, because, you know, it's almost a feeling of this overwhelming force is going to do what it's going to do. Unfortunately, it's kind of futile fighting it, and all the best thing for you to do right now is to pull back and rest. That's the only thing that you can do. And honestly, you will be stronger if you kind of recoup, if you heal. You'll be, the battle will still be there when you come back. It's just, it's more important. It's almost like it's more important for you to get some healing work in and to step away from the situation. So when you come back, you can approach it in a better, in a stronger, you know, in a more empowered way. Now, the middle, your current situation is you got the Three of Clubs, and this is great. Honestly, this is Obi-Wan on Camino. It's when he sneaks in and he sees all the clones on the planet, and how what it is things are progressing. And what it is I think you've got something going on. It almost feels like some kind of acquisition, because again, you know, the fact that the order kind of took over, and then they kind of brought about all of this change. And what I'm kind of seeing is this change looks good. You know what I mean? Like when you look at it, everything looks so, you know, scientific. It looks so streamlined. You can almost walk through as if you're getting a glimpse of the future. But there is almost a kind of ominous, and remember in the movie, you know, as he's walking through and he's watching all these clones and he's thinking, gosh, you know, these clones are babies now, but they're going to be growing up to being soldiers. So I really get the feeling as if there's some kind of, in the recent past, there was some kind of acquisition that you weren't entirely on board with, but you almost had to accept you had to concede a little bit, and you had to pull back and heal in order to come back stronger. Now what's happening is this new order, literally, this new order is coming in, and they're making a lot of changes, and you have a lot of changes that are coming, and right now you're still kind of part of it, you're part of the progress, but you're looking around and it's making you a little bit nervous. It's almost like, what's this going to become, you know? Is this going to be good? It doesn't entirely feel good. And then, you know, there's a little bit of an ominous feeling. It feels like a lot of change, and it's a lot of abundance. It's a lot of production. This could be a job thing. It really does kind of feel like a job thing. I just feel like a lot of changes are occurring, but you're not quite sure. You know, everything seems so organized and seems so streamlined, but there's almost a kind of a feeling like, okay, what is this going to become? Is this going to get out of hand? Is this going to become, what kind of monster are we building here? And it doesn't have to necessarily be that way, but there's definitely that kind of feeling like, okay, is this the right way? Is this the way that we're supposed to be going? Or are we just conceding to the power that's the groups that are in power right now? Are we just going along with what they want to do? And what are the repercussions of that, is kind of the feeling. Now the future, you got the Nine of Spades, and oh my goodness, and was I not just talking about, and everyone's talking about the Mandalorian right now, right? Look at this. You've got Yoda, and you've got the Nine of Spades, which is the Nine of Swords. And what that is that's anxiety. That's anxiety. And honestly, episode 3, the Revenge of the Sith, this was defeat. This is right before, Yoda's the last of the Jedis, and he's about to go out. He's about to go out into solitude because he has nothing else to do. He's been conquered, and he needs to go. It's almost like he's about to go into hermit mode. He's about to go to that planet, and stay there before, and then the next time he really gets seen is when Luke comes to find him. So what's happening here is this is going to lead to some kind of imbalance that's going to cause a little bit of anxiety, or either that or you're afraid. you're afraid that this change is not going to lead to something good. And I think I'm getting a real hermit feel from this. There's no major arcanas in playing cards, but I'm getting the hermit feel because I have a feeling that, again, there's elements. You are very strategic. You see what's going. The other thing is there's people looking in all three of these cards. There's someone who's kind of looking as she's healing and you know, repose. Then you have someone who's looking around and seeing what's happening as it's you know, gaining steam, and then you've got Yoda who's kind of looking in hindsight, going, oh gosh, this is not good. What is this going to bring? And he's almost anxiety prone about it, and that's what the Nine of Spades is about. So now what I've got underneath this, and I think this is so awesome, is you got both Jokers. And honestly, the Jokers in this deck are, it's a C-3PO on the head of the drone. And then you got Jar Jar, you know, of course, he's got to be the Joker. And then you got the King of Pentacles. But look at this. I'm loving the King of Pentacles in this because he's right next to you. It's almost like you go from anxiety to being the King of Pentacles. And when you look at it, I mean, this is going to sound so stupid, but there's no such thing as young Yoda. Well, there's a baby Yoda now. Oh God. Only in a Star Wars read when we go down this road. Oh gosh. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Well, okay. Hear me out. Okay. There's method to this. He's very concerned here, but doesn't he looks a little less wrinkly here than he does here. Here he looks like, dang, he looks, if there's stages of Yoda, if that is a thing, it's almost as if he went from this great kind of pensive anxiety and being really afraid of what's happening and, you know, fearing like everything is not going to the fighting mode again. And the great thing is that it transitions. It goes from being in repose, from healing and pulling back to going back to fighting again. So I have a feeling that your energy or your Star Wars story is that there's definitely, you felt like there was some kind of conquest. The New Order, or whoever won, is kind of building up kind of a new thing that right now feels so streamlined and pretty and, you know, state of the art, but you know that it could lead to something. And honestly, when you think about it, what is it? Boba Fett was one of the first clones. I think he was the clone that made up all those soldiers. And when you look here, you kind of see what looks like a, you know, Mandalorian, and, you know, it's almost like he understands in hindsight what that kind of science brings. You know, it's almost like the island of Dr. Moreau, or playing God. But what will happen is Jokers are the fool, and what happens is you got the Joker twice. You got the new beginnings, and it's almost like as you go through this situation, you're going to come out the King of Pentacles. You're going to come out, and again, you could be a woman watching this and still manifest as a king. But what will happen is you come out feeling really strong. It's almost like experiencing all this, seeing how, and it feels very job related. It feels very job related. It's almost like you're looking how things operate. You're watching and you're learning, and some of it is making you feeling a little unnerved. It's making you feel a little uneasy, and then by the time you get kind of the end of it, you're like, is any of this right? Is this how things work? But then when it comes down to it, what happens is you learn the ways, you see what happens, but then you take your own stance on it. You take your own stance on it, and you're going to be, and the King of Pentacles is that strong, practical, reliable king. He's very honorable. He's very, you know, you can lean on this person. He will do the right thing. He'll do the practical thing. So maybe it's a budgeting thing, maybe it's a work thing, but I have a feeling that what it will be is that, and I feel like the fact that it's backed up by two fools or by two Jokers, this is going to be new. It's almost like and the fact that kings are leaders, they're rulers, they're the mature. I think you're really going to come in and you're going to see how everything's going, and you're going to see all this change, and you're going to want to be integral. You're going to want to be a part of this change, but you're going to want to do it in the right way. You're going to say, look, I'm seeing all this stuff and we're not doing it the right way. Let's do it this way. You know, lightsaber on. Let's do it this way. because this is the right way. If we're going to have all this progress, let's not have an area where we could worry that we're not doing it ethically. Let's do it the right way. So that's your Star Wars story, guys. That's pretty freaking bad butt. I'm going to go ahead and leave Yoda on top. I think that's awesome. So let's go ahead and get to deck number 2. If you chose Star Wars Classic, which is my crew, I'm a R2-D2 girl for reals. Again, all of these decks are listed in the description box below. These 2 are still available, but the first 2 are all 3 decks are by Cartamundi, if I'm saying it right. And again, all of the descriptions are there. Ooh, holy Toledo, guys. Okay, we're gonna keep it. I'm hoping we're gonna keep this, but the first deck got the 8 of Hearts in the same position, first position. So again, I'm pulling your energy, but let me go ahead and I'll shuffle some more. Here, we'll shuffle some more. Let's see. It's deck number 2. What's our Star Wars story? I'll go ahead and we'll make note of this. Well, it flipped. We'll keep it. Sorry, Libra indecision. Okay, we in focus? Yes. Okay. So deck number 2. Star Wars Classic. What's our Star Wars story? What's our Star Wars story? Thank you. Oh. Thank you. That landed right in my lap. And thank you. Got flippers and floppers. This is the one that wanted to flip out. This is pretty interesting, guys. I'm just going to reference it. I'll kind of use it as a core. I'm not trying to have a million cards, but I just want to see that because this is the one that wanted to flip out earlier, and this came up in the first position for the first deck. So we might actually have a trilogy. We have it transitioning. So your Star Wars story is, first off, you got in the first position you got the King of Hearts, which is the King of Cups, and oh, you scruffy nerf herder, you. It's so quick. That was one of my favorite kisses too. But it's Han and Leia. But so what that is that's that happiness. I always say that the King of Hearts, not King of Hearts, where is that coming from? I'm sorry, 10 of Hearts, or the 10 of Cups. It's that happiness that money can't buy. And again, it feels, I love about this image is that it's very elating. What it is that kind of, that over the moon kind of feeling of loving someone. It also means that you have everything. You feel like, so in the past you felt like you had it all emotionally. You were in a very, very good place emotionally. And again, well, I'm determining how I'm going to read this. I think the overall theme is this, but. And then, so you felt like you had it all emotionally, either that or you felt like you were in a good place. There's times in life that you just feel like you're in a good place. You feel happy. And what it is this was in the past. So, not to say happiness is behind you, but we'll get through your story. But in the past, you had moments in your life where you were really happy. You were in a good place. You were content. And the thing is, and again, that 10 of Hearts doesn't mean that you have all the money in the world, doesn't mean that you have every luxury. It's that just personal fulfillment that what you have in your life you adore and it makes you happy. Now, your present is the 4 of Hearts, which is the 4 of Cups, and the 7 of Pentacles. And oh my goodness, guys, I just feel like this feels like phases, like you feel like, it almost feels like a little bit of a growing up. Because the 4 of Cups is, in traditional tarot, it's that person sitting under the tree. He's looking at 3 standing cups, and there's a cup that's being offered to him, but he doesn't want it. So here it is a little bit about lethargy. It's almost like, it's not feeling satisfied. So in the past, you felt like you felt like in your past, it could be the way past or it could be the recent past, you felt like you were happy, that you were content, and then all of a sudden you started feeling like, nah. And the thing about this card too is that you have 3 cups in front of you, and the universe is handing you another cup, but you're almost not even looking at the cup, because it's just, I always, not to sound strange, but I always compare the 4 of Hearts and the 4 of Cups to the child not wanting, anything that you offer them for dinner kind of feeling. You could even have good things. It's not even like you're trying to get the kid to eat asparagus or something. It could be, okay, you offer them macaroni and cheese, you offer them a hamburger, you offer them chicken nuggets, and then they're like, no. And then, you come up with pizza, and they're like, no, I don't feel like pizza either. And it's kind of like that. It's kind of just like, well, I may not have 10 cups, but I have 3 cups, and I have the universe handing me another one. But nah, I'm just not happy. Just no bueno, just not happy. And it's like, why? Why am I feeling that, can't be pleased little kid? Why is nothing pleasing me? I have really good things being offered to me. Why isn't none of it making me the 10 of Cups happy that I was in the past? Now, the other card that you got was the 7 of Diamonds, which is the 7 of Pentacles. And here in traditional tarot, I'm going to read it traditional tarot wise, because I remember this scene. It was in The Empire Strikes Back, and it was, when, I think it was right before it's kind of an evaluation card. So I think here he's kind of, looking at Yoda like friend or foe, do I need to defend myself or not? But, and the fact that it came out right under the 4 of Hearts, the 7 of Pentacles is that evaluation card. It's that farmer who's looking at his pentacles, and he's looking at it as if they're just not growing fast enough, or, he's not sure, this is what he wants to do. I just definitely think that you're in a stage right now. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, so sorry, guys. Hope I didn't do that in your ear. Excuse me. Gesundheit. Okay. But yeah, I feel like you had a happiness in your past that was very genuine, and it was just one of those kind of peaks in life that was just really wonderful. And now you are currently in an energy of you've got some nice things, you've got some fine things being handed to you, but you're almost kind of like, I don't know, I just don't feel it. It's kind of that meh feeling. It's not even that you're not trying to be a snob. You're not trying to turn your nose up at anything. It's just, again, it's like that kid who's just, I don't feel like pizza. I don't feel like mac and cheese. I don't feel like chicken nuggets. You don't know what you want. You don't know what you want, and you're looking at what you already have, and you're kind of I'm definitely getting a vibe of like, where you are is not as happy as where you were, and you're really deciding whether or not what you're growing, what you're cultivating is growing fast enough, or if it's gonna give you what you want moving forward. Now, when we look moving forward, you have another 7. You actually have 3 7s in this deck. I think our weekly energy reading had 3 7s. So if someone picked that pile too, was it deck 2? Oh my gosh. You guys, you might want to check that out. I'm not trying to promote myself, but seriously, synchronicity alert. But 7s, that's I mean, how many, okay, if card reading is complete chance, what are the chances of 3 7s coming out in 2 readings within the same week? I mean, seriously, the odds of that. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna stop ranting. But the 7 of Hearts is the 7 of Cups. And the 7 of Cups is a lot of choices. Again, I remember this was kind of the battle with that, that guy, right? Okay, I'm in a mood. You got to keep it loose when you're doing a Star Wars reading. Sorry, guys. I'm sneezing in your ear. I'm in your ear. Okay. I swear to you, I came home, I had tea. It was a long day at work, but okay, I'm getting it together. I'm pulling it together, guys. So sorry. But the 7 of Cups is the guy looking at several different cups and wondering where is he going to go next. And what it is you have several paths ahead of you. And actually, if you Google, and I think I said this in the weekly interviews, if you Google the image of, I don't have a tarot deck out, otherwise I would pull the image and show you. If you pull the image of the Seven of Cups, the Rider-Waite-Smith, it's someone who's looking at 7 different cups, and inside of each cup there's a different thing. Like one cup has jewels, another cup has a snake. And what it is that there's options galore right now. There's options, but you don't know which one. It's kind of all that glitters isn't gold kind of card. You have choices, and you have a lot of options, which is lucky. That's a pretty lucky thing to be able to choose. Okay, do I want this cup? Do I want that cup? But the problem is, a few of those cups might not be what you think it is. You might, what you think it is might not be what you think it is. And it could lead you to you're trying to recreate the happiness that you had in your past, or at least you're trying to be happy at a core level. Right now, you're not so happy, and you got 4 cups in front of you, and you're not even sure what of the 4 cups. You're just kind of like, I just don't even have the energy to choose, or I don't feel like choosing, or nothing's appealing to me, and and then you're looking at what you're growing. And you're deciding, okay, is it growing fast enough? Is it going to give me what I want? And then moving forward, it's basically saying, okay, all those options, you're going to have even more cups than what you have now. You're going to have even more options in front of you, and you're going to have to choose. And some of those cups are not what you think it is. Some of those cups might have what you're looking for. Some of those cups might not. And just at first glance, if you do not make the right decision, it also is kind of a card. The 7 of Cups is also a card of just feeling a little overwhelmed. You feel a little lost in the sauce, like, okay, if I go that way, and you're kind of daydreaming, okay, if I go for that cup, I'll have this life. If I go for this cup, I'll have that life. And what kind of life do I want? And you may kind of just daydream about it, but the future is just saying, don't let it make you dissipated. It's a very Neptunian, throw a little astrology in there. It's a very Neptune kind of influence. It's very foggy. It's almost like you can be lost in your dreams and think, oh yeah, let's go for the cup with the jewels. But what if the jewels don't make you happy? Or if it's easy come, easy go, and then you end up more miserable than what you were in the past. You do have to kind of scrutinize it. It is kind of calling it, saying, okay, moving forward, you're going to have a choice of all of these different paths. And you're very lucky in the fact that you have those options, but those options are going to feel a little overwhelming, and you're really not going to know what to choose. Either that, or you're just going to feel a little intimidated and overwhelmed by what path you should go on. And now this did want to come out first, so I'm kind of associating it with the past position. I really get the feeling that you were happy, and somehow you left that happiness, or that happiness left you. So this could be a relationship thing, and the fact that it's Luke and he's kind of holding up the sword. The fact that this is the first time that Luke holds up the sword, and I'm actually going to use the imagery of the card for the first time, but the fact that he's holding up the sword, this is the first time that he handles the sword that's going to be his future. So I have a feeling that maybe this might be a little bit relationship related. It could be work related, in the fact that maybe you left to pursue some kind of career. Either that, or maybe someone else left you because you were focused on career, or maybe someone just, the third scenario, and again, I'm seeing hearts, which is love or emotions. I'm seeing one person leaving, and then I see this person who kind of finds his calling. So it could be one of a few things. It could be that it was a breakup of a relationship, and as you were healing from the relationship, you walked away and you found something that made you happy, and it was kind of like your calling. It was what you were meant to do. It kept you engaged. It made you passionate about something. So it was a positive way to heal from that. Either that, or someone walked away from you because you had this calling and you were just not giving them any attention. Maybe they walked away and you just continued on your path, and now you're like, I was kind of happy then, now I'm not so happy. is this really giving me what I want? And then as you move forward, it's more 7, it's even more murky, except it's got an emotional element to it, like, okay, which way do I go, George? And now the 3, now the 5 of spades was the one that wanted to pop out earlier, and that is the 5 of swords, which is it's that win-lose situation card. Now, oh gosh, I'm giggling because the 4 of clubs is technically the 4 of wands, and again, I'm not reading this in a Lenormand sense. I need to buy that book. I will learn the Lenormand meanings. It probably has a tougher meaning in that. But the 4 of clubs is the typically in Rider-Waite-Smith, it's the milestone card, it's the wedding card, it's the, meeting. Again, it's a milestone in your life. It can be a wedding, it can be a graduation, it's just kind of you hitting that phase in your life where, okay, like when you graduate college and you go on to your first job, it's kind of like those milestones. And the fact that it's Darth Vader doing the throat hug thing, I don't know, maybe this could be a wedding. I'm sorry, guys. And if you are getting married, be careful who, just, map out the seating chart really well. Maybe your uncle doesn't like your cousin. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. No, or maybe that is love, maybe that's a husband and wife scenario right there. No, I'm kidding. But the 4 of clubs is definitely, the way I'm reading it is, and then after it is the last 7, which is the 7 of clubs, which is the defense. It's a protection card. It's the standing your ground. So, the way I almost read this is that it was almost, I am getting kind of a vibe of a win-lose situation. Somebody walked away, but when they walked away, it kind of created a, and I always get sad when I see the 5 of swords, because it's not a pleasant card, but because one person is a victor and the other person is a loser, and you never want to create scenarios like that. But what it was is there was happiness, and then there was someone walking away, and then someone feels like someone feels like the winner, and someone was made to feel like the loser. And then, but then when I see the context of it, it's like the 4 of wands is a milestone. It's someone who, it's almost like someone is fighting a stage of life, like they're afraid, or they need to be in control of how this stage of life comes in. I'm getting a lot of control out of this. I'm feeling kind of a controlling element, but there's definitely someone who's on the defense. There's someone who's on the defense about this milestone. It's almost like you want to fight for what you want, but the problem is right now, what you want or what exactly is going to make you happy is not really clear to you right now. But the other thing is that clubs are wands, and wands are very instinctual. It's almost like that, I'm not sure what I want, but I know that I need to fight for this, And again, it is almost like you're fighting for your happiness. You're fighting for, what you want to do, but there is definitely an element of win-lose here. And I don't know if it's because someone, walked away from you, or you walked away from someone. But you're deciding what you want to do, and you're not feeling, it's funny, the other thing is that both of these cards are really enthralling. Both of these cards are very powerful. You see how empowered he looks, and you see how happy and engaged. It's passionate. You see there's passion in both of these cards, and there's no passion at all. It's almost like more fear and kind of defense moving forward. You see the look on his face. He's just like, nah, what do I do? It's like, I don't want any of those options. Look at that. And then here it's just like, who, what, where, what is that? What is this? What's coming for me? What's happening, right? So yeah, but I definitely think that you're going to have a little bit more of this murkiness going forward. You haven't really leveled out the energy. All of these are odds. Most of this is odds, because it's funny. It starts off with evens, then you stay in the kind of even in the middle, but it's not a happy one. Then you go straight into odd cards. And again, 5's imbalance. 4 is balance. but it's sandwiched between, you know, a win-lose situation and you fighting for what you want. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I know that's a strange reading, but that really sums it up. You want this milestone, but you're stuck between a win-lose situation and fighting for what you want. And you got a lot of options. So where you go is up to you, but you're afraid. You're afraid of going for the wrong thing because you want the same happiness that you had in the past. All right, guys, that was a pretty deep read. And who says you can't read playing cards? I'm going to go ahead and put Luke on front. Ooh, we might have a, there we go. Lightsabers on up front. Lightsabers up front. Sorry. All right, I'm getting goofy this reading. I swear. All I did was go to work and have some tea. That was all I did. It's a Monday before the holidays. Oh. It's not a Monday. I'm sorry. It's a Thursday. I'm curious if you guys are going to midnight readings tonight. I am seeing the movie. My sister was very sweet and invited me, but I'm not seeing it until Sunday. But I wanted to post this reading a little bit early in case anybody's going to the midnight viewings tonight. And it's definitely a reading-filled week this week too. I'm posting a lot of specialty videos, but and I know it's crazy busy. You know, definitely. I hope everyone, maybe when things kind of slow down, maybe if you have a few lazy days around the holidays, that you get a chance to watch the videos or catch up. And definitely leave a comment. Are you pro Porg? Do you like Baby Yoda? All right. Deck number 2. Ooh, you got some stuff. That's the other thing, is that this deck is very Stormtrooper laden. You got, if you're a fan of Stormtroopers or BB-8. All right, so deck number 2. Oh, guys. Keep going. Deck number 2. Can we get a flipper, flyer? Oh my gosh. That one wanted to come out earlier too. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You saw that, right? Can I get a flyer? I should know better. Ask and you shall receive. Ooh, I like it, guys. I really like it. And honestly, this action shot, I'm feeling it. I'm totally there. Very into it. All right. So, guys. So in the past, you got the 3 of spades. And right underneath it, you got the 3 of spades, which is the 3 of swords. And then right underneath it, you got the 2 of hearts, which is the 2 of cups. And underneath that, you got the ace of spades. And you see there's like a fight scene. It's like defense. But all of these scenes are pretty much fight scenes. But so basically, guys, in your past, in your recent past, you had some kind of heartbreak. You had a heartbreak, and it could have been a third-party situation. It might not. Sometimes it's just good old-fashioned, you know, sadness. It definitely could. I'm definitely getting a vibe as if it's relationship-related, but because the 2 of hearts means that this was someone that you were very connected to. The root of it, again, it's like root of it. You know, this is the root of it. This is the stalk of it. This is the bloom of it. And the bloom of it is pain, but it's just, I have to admit, anytime you see the 3 of swords, it has a horrible reputation. No one likes to get it. But all it means is that it could be things like separation. That's the other thing that I always remember when I think 3 of swords. It's unhappiness, it's sadness, but it might not be necessarily based on betrayal. I mean, if you don't see any cards around the 3 of swords, it's the cards around the swords. So it's the cards around the 3 that describes why that heartache occurred. And what it is I basically see that with the 2 of hearts being under it, and the Ace of Spades, which is the Ace of Swords, you care about someone. You care about someone, but you can't be with them. Or there's something that's pulling you away from this person and it's making you feel stuck. You feel stuck and you want to connect with someone, but you can't, and it's making you feel, I'm almost getting a real lonely vibe too. I'm getting a real lonely vibe, guys. It's almost like there's some kind of connection but the thing is, I'm definitely getting the feeling that you know the person that you want to be with, but for some reason you're not together and it's causing you pain. It's causing you pain. But the thing is, in between, the buffer between the two is feeling stuck. There's something that's making you feel stuck. And it's funny, you're in a group of people, but you know, this is the feeling trapped. And the Eight of Swords is definitely that kind of self-imposed kind of imprisonment too. I don't know, it could be a situation that really does have you stuck, that you can't do anything about. Now, your middle card is pretty... Now, in traditional playing cards, the Ace of Spades is the boom, you know, you're done card. But, and of course, we got some Kylo Ren showing up. But in, you know, the Ace of Spades, if you look at it from a tarot perspective, is the Ace of Swords. And Ace of Swords is breakthrough. This Ace of Swords is actually a pretty positive card. The Ace of Swords actually just means that you are coming up on, there's going to be a breakthrough. There's going to be a moment of truth. There's going to be something that breaks the stuckness. This is freedom, and it's a very verbal card. It's almost speaking. So I just think that it's thoughts, it's words. So it's almost like you, and again, these are spades too. So these are thoughts and words. There's thoughts that are making you feel stuck. There's thoughts that's making you feel heartbreak. And in between it is, there's a Two of Cups. There's two hearts, two people that you really want. It's almost like not being able to have this, or this being in the middle of it, is what's making you feel hurt or making you feel lonely. But the middle, which is an excellent card, is breakthrough. There's something that's coming. There's fast change. There's some kind of truth that's going to be told, that's going to break you out of this confinement, that's going to break you out of this heartache and break you out of this stuckness, if that's a word, if that's a thing. And it could be you speaking your truth. It could be you breaking away. It could be you breaking out of your own negative thoughts. This could be healing, but it really just feels like a sudden, you know, if you've ever watched those TV shows, it's almost like all these characters, when they pick up that lightsaber and they say, I am the bad guy, or I am the good guy, it's like almost making that declaration. And that's what the Ace of Swords is too in tarot. It's that sword. It's holding up that sword and saying, look, and even you can compare it to the back of the deck. It's holding up the sword and saying, I am this. This is what I am. There's a moment of freedom in that. Whether you're declaring yourself to be bad or whether you're declaring yourself to be good, there's freedom. It's like, I am this, right? And moving forward now, and again, the root of this and what kind of, this card flipped out to kind of define the whole spread. So I'll come back to that. But the future of the situation is you have the Five of Cups, or the Five of Hearts, I should say. And then you've got the Two of Clubs, and you've got the Two of Spades. And you got you got three twos, guys. You got the Three of Spades. Wow. Wow. Now the Three of Cups is kind of mourning. The Three of Cups is a little bit of a mourning card. It's regret. It's feeling guilty about something. So what might be happening is this might have been a third party situation, and then presently some kind of truth is going to come to light. And in the future, it might bring a little bit, and again, the Five of Cups doesn't have to be a traumatic card. It could just be that, you know, just like the dust settling of any anytime you stir up something, anytime something comes to light, as things settle, there could be, some guilt or some hurt feelings. But the root underneath of this guilt is there's a decision that needs to be made that's not being made. The Two of Spades is a stalemate. It's kind of ignoring. You almost don't want to make the decision. It's a stalemate. It's mental gridlock. There's a choice that needs to be made, but you're almost ignoring your emotions. You don't want to admit. You don't want to admit that, you don't want to acknowledge. No one wants to concede. So you're kind of stuck in that choice. You don't want to, it's almost like you're pushing off. I have a great reader who always talks about sometimes emotions is like when your computer needs an update. You keep getting that little pop-up, okay, do you want to reboot now? And you're like, no, I'll do it later, snooze. And you can't do that for so long, otherwise it starts to build. And you see how it goes from like the Two of Spades to the Three of Spades. When you start ignoring decisions, and twos are decisions, it's choice. And but it starts to build up. It might make you a little crazy. You can do that Kylo Ren tear up your bedroom rant because you're frustrated because you're hitting the snooze button on your emotions. You don't want to make the decision. You're stuck. And again, this is kind of playing into the stuck energy. It's in the same position. Now, the Two of Clubs is the Two of Wands, and what it is it's typically that guy standing on the top of the castle looking out, and he's got one wand in his hand, and he has one wand that's bolted behind him, and he's got a globe in his hand. Basically, I think what's happening is you got some decisions, you have some really tough choices that you need to make. I think what might be happening is that it might involve people or situations. It could be a work scenario. It could be you torn between two employers, and you don't want anyone to feel hurt. You don't want the person that you don't choose or the situation that you don't choose to feel jilted. But again, it could be work. But the heart's being in it, and the thoughts. This is heavy thoughts. This is thoughts. So this is you up in your head. So in the past you felt trapped, and you felt like, in pain from it. And it was you really, in your heart, wanted to go. Your heart is longing to do something. In the middle, you're kind of having a breakthrough. There's facts coming to light, or there's facts that you need to tell someone. And then in the future, you kind of have a choice. You have a choice, and in the near future, it's a choice that you haven't made yet, but it's looming. And again, you're hitting the snooze button on your feelings, but your feelings are going to rear up. The feelings can't snooze for too much longer. But what it is that it's a major choice, because all twos are really kind of like that fork in the road. It's like if you go down one road, you might have a completely different life than another road. So, it's an important choice. It's a heavy choice, but it is just making you feel kind of guilty. I think it's making you feel, it's kind of making you wonder about the choice, the other, the wand that you don't pick, the sword that you put down, what's going to happen to them, and it makes you feel like the bad guy. But the overall root of the whole thing, and this is the one that flipped out, was the Nine of Clubs. And the Nine of Clubs is the Nine of Wands. And this is someone who's really been through the war. I think this situation is really beating on you. You feel really worn out. It's hard for you to feel pain. It's hard for you to feel guilt. It's hard for you to, try to decide between the two wands. It's hard for you to decide between the two swords, and for you to ignore your feelings. You're just worn out. You're worn out. You feel like you've been through the war. You're like, God, why do I have to do anything else? I'm worn out. But in this scenario, I love this scene. I think it's a real action-packed scene. but I think he is definitely kind of, again, the Nine of Wands is using the last of your strength. It's really, you're battle worn. You're battle worn. But your future is, there is going to be some guilt involved, but there's a choice ahead, and you need to go ahead and make that choice. And honestly, the best way to do it is just very, like I said, if you pick up that sword and say, I am this, you know, do it. You know, if whatever I would just say the best advice is, you know, think very carefully. I know choices shouldn't be made lightly, but the decision that you go for, if it is your choice, if it is truly your choice, pick up the lightsaber that you choose and stick to it, you know? Don't waffle, don't waver, you know? If you're gonna feel the guilt won't last forever if you're resolute in your decision and you're honest in your delivery. You know, if you tell the persons or parties involved, you know, I chose this, I chose it for this reason, I'm sticking to it, this is me, you know? You can, and honestly, no one can argue with that. But I do think that you're worn out right now. The choice hasn't been made yet. It still needs to be made, but right now you're just holding down the fort, and you're pretty tired. You're ready to fall down. You're just kind of like, you know, you can't fight much longer. But all right. So guys, that was your Star Wars story. It is almost kind of like a mini reading in the middle of the. So I'm going to go ahead and leave out the cards that I thought spoke to me most so we're going to go ahead and leave you with we'll leave you with the Stormtrooper on top, since that's your energy. That was the one that flipped out. So guys, well, I am super excited, and I'm so glad that you joined me. I hope, if you are a Star Wars fan, I hope you enjoy the movie. I'm really curious. To be honest, for as much as I love to guess the plot of things, I have no idea what's going to happen, and I guess that's a good thing for them. You know, the movie series that they kept it so on the quiet. You know, but if you enjoyed this reading, please do me the honor. I would be very honored if you would like, comment, and subscribe. If you'd like to join me again, tomorrow is what we call day 20. It's my D20 reading, and what that is I do a Dungeons and Dragons. It's a fantasy based tarot reading, and again, it's like a story. It pulls on your current energies, but it does it in kind of a game playing kind of way based on a fantasy story. And so that'll be posted first thing tomorrow. So if you want to check it out, I'd really love that. And if not, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you enjoy the movie, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.